Hi there, welcome to this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. My name is Dave Dubeau and I'm your host. What do you think of my lovely rent-to-own sign? Pretty bright, huh? This is a gift from my good friend Bruce Hinton. Thanks very much, Bruce. He's down living the life in Mexico right now. And he gave me this lovely rent-to-own sign that he found goodness knows where. So anyhow, definitely attracts attention, just about as bright as my new shirt. What's going on today? Well, we got lots going on. For our business breakthrough, I want to talk about BOGO versus half price. And this is an anecdotal lesson on the power of language. For our real estate tip, we're going to actually get one of our tips from one of our guest experts on our upcoming Canadian Real Estate Investors Virtual Bootcamp, which is happening this March 18th through 23rd. You can check that out at virtualbootcamp.ca. This is Tom Karadza sharing one of his tips on how to maximize your profits with student housing. And for our Mindset Minute, we're going to talk a little bit about how there are always scumbags. Stay tuned. Okay, so for today's business breakthrough, I'm going to share a little story about a local business here in Kamloops, actually a fabric store. Now, no offense to anybody that's really into sewing and fabrics and that kind of stuff, but I can't think of a much less exciting kind of business. However, I'm sure I'm wrong. But anyhow, this was showing the difference in languaging. So these folks, the story goes, were changing stores. So they're moving locations. And they had a certain batch of a certain kind of fabric. They just had rolls and rolls and rolls of this stuff, and they wanted to get rid of it. So they put it up on a big table and they said, 50% off, half price, that sort of thing. And that's what they did. And their sales were really quite stagnant on that. So then they decided to switch it up. The manager decided to try something different and switched it from 50% off or half price to buy one, get one free. Now, if you really think about it, that's exactly the same thing. Actually, it's even better. It's worse because you have to buy an entire thing to get the other one free. But they sold out of that entire stock of whatever kind of fabric it was that they had. They sold it completely out from switching from half off to buy one, get one free. Now, does that mean that that's going to work all the time? No, not necessarily. What I do want to illustrate with this is that you don't want to get married to one particular idea. Change things up, try a little bit differently, try saying the same thing in different ways, and you could get amazingly different results. That's your business breakthrough for this week.
Okay, yeah, so tip number one is most people when they're looking for a rental property, they want, a nice home in a nice area, and that does apply to student rentals. But one of the things that doesn't, and there's many of these things that don't apply, but one of the things that doesn't apply is with student rental properties, you want to be on the busy street. You want to be on the access points into the university or into the college because it offers you a lot of visibility to your property and a lot of marketing opportunities for your property. So unlike maybe a regular family rental property that you might want to own in your real estate portfolio for years and you want a nice quiet street or the little court or the nice little subdivision, on student rental properties, it's never a bad thing to be in a high traffic area. And most people we meet don't get that, so they try to buy houses on quieter streets that are a little bit further away from the university or college, and it really hurts them because they have a much harder time finding tenants. So when you buy the property incorrectly, it can really throw off your cash flow numbers. If you follow a few simple rules like this, you really have a high demand for your property and it maximizes your cash flow.
Okay, and for this week's Mindset Minute, I want to take a little moment and talk about there's always going to be scumbags. Doesn't matter what kind of business you're in or where you're at. So this comes to mind because recently there was a bit of a hubbub around here because there was a CBC News article all about rent-to-own and a rent-to-own deal that went sour close to home here, actually in Kelowna, BC. So again, you have to be a little bit careful when you're watching something on the news because they tend to have a very jaundiced view on things. However, taking the information that I have from the news story that came out, it does look like the rent-to-own guy that was doing this, who has nothing to do with us, never has been a student of mine, did pull one over on an unsuspecting family. two unsuspecting families. So first of all, this was one of those rent-to-own deals where you had a rent-to-own investor who put together a deal with a home seller and a rent-to-own client, put them together, kept a fee for doing that, and then just took off. So according to the story, this guy found a very motivated seller, motivated couple that had to move out of their home, move to a different city. Now they're long distance. They're paying 2 mortgage payments. Couldn't keep it up, so they're looking for a way to sell their house. Weren't able to sell it normally, so they looked to this guy to set up a rent-to-own deal for them. He didn't give them the right paperwork. Didn't get the right paperwork from his tenant buyer. Put them together, kept the option fee, and then took off, and everything went to crap. So this is very, very unfortunate for the homeowner and for the tenant buyer, because he set things up to fail from the get-go. So this is like any kind of a business. Unfortunately, there are folks who do it incorrectly. There are folks who do it unscrupulously, and those are the folks that give all the rest of us a black eye and make us look bad because they rip people off. So it's unfortunate this happened with rent-to-own, which comes near and dear to my heart. It does happen from time to time. Those are the churn and burn type artists that I've talked about before. If you do rent-to-own the right way, the way I teach it, the way I try to do it all the time, and that is win-win-win. Your tenant buyer wins. They get into a home years earlier than they could otherwise. Your investor or the homeowner wins because they're getting a good return on investment or a good price for their home. And you, as the rent-to-own deal maker, win as well. That's if you're looking to do it the win-win-win way. So that's your Mindset Minute. Unfortunately, there are going to be scumbags anywhere you turn. All right, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Canadian Profits TV. What's coming up? Well, very, very soon we're going to be starting our Canadian Real Estate Investor Virtual Bootcamp, and that's March 18th through 23rd. You can check out all about that at virtualbootcamp.ca, where there's probably going to be a little banner over to the right there somewhere. Also, what's going on if you are in Calgary, Red Deer, or Edmonton, we're coming through town with one of our rent-to-own 3-way payday events. If you want to learn how to do rent-to-own the right way, definitely check that out. And you can click on the banner to the right as well, or check out 3waypayday.com. Take care. Talk to you next week.